Hello, first of all, congratulations, because if you have clicked in this video, then chances are very high that you are probably going to get a medical college this year. So, yeah. And right after that trails the big question, that is, should we study now? That is, after the results are out, but counseling has not begun yet. Okay. The answer to it is no. Obviously, there is no hard and fast rule about it. But if you are someone like me who is eager to know what comes next, then obviously, without a second thought, you should give it a try. So, this video is going to be a very casual chit chat about what you should begin with in all the three subjects that you're going to face in your first year. So, hello, I am Sneha De, and I am presently in my second year of MBBS, and I'm doing it from College of Medicine and JNM Hospital, Kalyani, West Bengal. See, before I start, I want to tell you all that I am not going to tell you to buy any books or any resources, nothing. I'm not going to tell you to spend even a single penny. Everything I'll tell you will find free PDFs on the internet or on Telegram. You will find definitely, and use them to read for the first time. Okay, think about the books, see what you like, know more about the subjects, and then invest in buying books or whatever you're going to do in the future. Okay, so the first subject that I'd like to talk about is anatomy. Now, if you ask me what should I begin with in anatomy, provided that you all are not exposed to dissection hall yet, you're not exposed to college lectures, you're not exposed to the videos of different platforms. Okay, provided these conditions, my personal opinion would be general embryology. I don't know whether it's a very much popular opinion or not, but general embryology is something which has the maximum continuity with your NEET syllabus. See, in NEET biology, class 12, the first chapter was human reproduction. And when you came to the end part of that chapter, NCRT talked about fertilization and then implantation, formation of all those blastomeres and all, then trophoblast. And then the story is beautifully continued in general embryology. So it is more like a series whose first episodes you have been watching. You won't feel any break in continuity, and it will be such an amazing read, believe me. So if you talk about the resource, see, Langman's Embryology, although it is a gold standard textbook, okay, but the general embryology part of Langman is, if I have to choose the words, it will be literature in its pure form. It's beautiful. So you can try reading that. And if you do not want to start with gold standard textbooks directly, you can definitely start with Indian authors like Dr. I.B. Singh's Embryology, which is again definitely a very good choice. And here I'll attach few pages so you can zoom in and see. Definitely sure you'll feel that these pages are very known to you already. Okay, now next thing about anatomy would be general anatomy. This is the most ignored part of anatomy, because what happens is that after college starts, you actually meet with upper limb, lower limb, and those become such huge portion, and those carry maximum marks in your exam. Therefore, the subject of general anatomy is, pushed towards the periphery, and you just read only those few chapters or those few pages from which questions actually come. But, in this, what happens is that the essence of anatomy is somewhat lost, because if you want to utilize this time, utilize in building the basics. Because if someone has read general anatomy, it does a few things. It, evokes the interest in anatomy. There's a great book written by Dr. A.K. Datta, and the first page is something like this. Okay, so I'm sure if not everyone, many will find the love for anatomy through general anatomy if you spend time with it. After college, it will be impossible to read general anatomy. Start with chapters like, there's an amazing chapter about the bone. You can start with that, because I think the chapter comprises of things that you don't know, and it will be great to read about it. And if I am told to give you a sneak peek about the chapter, then it has to be something like, you all know that bone is an organ, it's a very living organ, and it should need a constant supply of nutrient and removal of waste materials from it. And there comes the nutrient artery. You'll get to learn about that. You'll get to learn about a foramina on the bone through which the nutrient artery enters. And then there comes the famous saying from the anatomy book, that is, towards the elbow I go, from the knee I flee. And once you hear this, it will forever be with you. Okay, it actually talks about how, the nutrient foramina or the nutrient canal inside the nutrient foramina through which the nutrient artery passes in a bone The saying or the mnemonic actually talks about the direction of the nutrient artery. That is, in the upper limb, the nutrient artery is towards the elbow. That is, in this part, it is towards this side, and in this part, it is towards this side. Okay. And the next line that follows this statement is that the growing end of the bone is in the reverse direction. The growing end will be in this way and in this manner, right? So this is the practical example and the reason behind why, if in very young children they have a bone infection or an injury, okay, in the region of the shoulder or the wrist joint, the growth of that arm is stunted. Why so? Because the growing end lies opposite to the direction of the nutrient artery. So if there's damage to the growing end of the bone, the person's growth is stunted. So these amazing concepts are packed in general anatomy, and I'm sure that if you read it, you are going to have a different kind of basics in anatomy. So I'll tell you to go with Dr. A.K. Datta's book PDF. If it's available in the internet, I'm sure you'll get it. And if not, then definitely you can go with their amazing books like Dr. Vishram Singh's book, Dr. B.D. Chaurasia's book, and you can take up any general anatomy book. So start with the basics first. Now, let's come to osteology part, that is the skeleton bones. What you need to do, very simple. Go to YouTube. Search bones like clavicle, scapula or humerus. Okay, start with the upper limb only because that is the first thing that you'll start with in college. So maybe just the clavicle or the scapula. What you need to do, you don't need to learn anything, but when you see videos, you can just see shorts, not even long forms. And when you see videos now, you'll kind of realize that what is the anterior end, what is the posterior end, how is a bone held. So a bone won't be a alien thing when you step into your dissection hall. So you'll understand that what are the borders of a bone, what is called the anterior surface, posterior surface, what is the edge. So when these become clear, again you take a upper hand in your college. So start with upper limb bones, maybe 2 3. Do not need to memorize anything. At the back of your mind, as many videos you see, you will progressively get to understand a bit better. Now talking about apps, skeleton apps and all, I took a subscription. I absolutely do not think you need any subscription before joining medical college. You do not. But if you're still willing to download anything, then there's an app called 3D Anatomy. Okay, I use that. So most of their features are paid, but do not pay anything now. You can try their free versions. There actually you'll get to see attachments and all. So if you're quite interested, you can log into that. Now, the next subject that I'll talk about is physiology. See, it is one of, I won't say one of, it is actually my dearest subject of first year. Now, talking about the subject, there's no separate book for general physiology as per se, which people read. Now, with any book of physiology, there is a first chapter which is termed as general physiology, and that chapter generally talks about all the basic physiology things that you should know. The only issue with that chapter is that what I faced personally while reading that, in every line you'll feel like you already know that. And what will that do is that diminish a lot of interest, because I feel the first chapter of any new subject that you're taking upon should be something which should be quite easy to understand, yet interesting enough to evoke the eagerness to learn that subject, I believe. So general physiology, according to me, does not serve that purpose. Again, it is a very important part of physiology, and telling you all to skip that altogether will be something that should not be said. So a chapter like I'll say hematology, I think you can start that, because that is the closest to what you have already learned. You know about the blood, its constituent, and it is one of the most important subject that medical school will teach you. And on top of that, maximum of the medical colleges starts directly with this chapter. So yeah, you'll feel a bit included in your first lecture, I'm pretty sure. Now comes the question of where should you start from. I don't think so telling someone to start with Guyton or Ganong. See, Ganong is not at all an option to start with, but starting with Guyton also does not sit right with me, like, because you people did not attend lectures, you people did not attend college classes as well. So I think it's better to start with some Indian author. According to me, Dr. Debashish Pramanik's book is a pretty good read to start with. So you can start with his chapter of hematology. and I'm sure you'll find your way through physiology very easily. Now, this brings me to the very last subject, that is biochemistry. Now, this is a tricky one because this is not the most interesting subject that you'll come across, rather, it is one of the opposite. Now, opinion differs, but when it comes to biochemistry, the major chunk of opinion stays on one side. But still, if I have to introduce you to a few chapters of the subject, I tell you to read the basics first itself. Actually, you can go to the chemistry of protein, carbohydrate, and fatty acid. So these are the chapters that your college will start with first. So you can give a read. Reading also helps a lot in medical college. You might feel that nothing is getting into your head, but reading helps. I've seen people who just use notes for biochemistry, but I don't think so that actually lives up to what the subject actually has to provide. So create a habit of reading biochemistry. Whether you understand it, whether you love it, like it really does not matter at this point. But just reading it only will give you upper hand. And I'm sure when you get an amazing teacher, be it in your college, be it in your online platforms that you'll study from, I'm sure that will elicit a huge interest in the subject going forward in your journey. Now, talking about the books that you can refer to, see, I again will refrain from recommending gold standard textbooks right in this place. Harper and Lippincott obviously are beautiful textbooks, but right at this point, for the first read, I'll tell you to refer to some Indian author. Vasudevan's textbook is good. You can refer to that. And the chapters that I talked about, like the basic chemistry of protein, carbohydrate, and fat, you can go through that. This is actually for you all to find that spark in each subject in your own way, nothing else. Love for a subject starts gradually. So if you take the baby steps from today, it will definitely be beneficial. And I'm also planning on to make a video on what are the resources and books that I used in my first year. So if you all are interested in seeing that, please drop that down in the comments, and all the very, very, very best for your future. Congratulations on cracking NEET once again. Welcome to the field of MBBS. And I hope it's amazing for each and every one of you. Thank you.